This is real race talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up Sports Show. Here's Bobby Chappie and Rodney Rodriguez.
Well, everybody, welcome to a very packed edition of the Revved Up Sports Show here on a Monday night post-Daytona hangover. Showtime, Bobby Chappie right here. The Iceman, Rodney Rodriguez, that's that man over there. Special dual studio edition of this wonderful presidential day off, thanks to President's Day.
Yeah, good day. I tried to act like it was President's Day. I mean, I did a lot of non-work stuff, but everything worked out, and we got a jam-packed show. I mean, good stuff that we have in store for you guys this evening. So hopefully that you're excited because coming up, Greg Van Alst. How cool is that going to be? I mean, that's like the racer's racer right there. I mean, everything that he did right there, winning at Daytona in the ARCA race, I think that's pretty cool for Van Alst to get out there. Just kind of living the dream right there. And the best interview, one of the best interviews that you're going to see on network TV, I thought.
Yeah, one of the good ones. That one was really good, full of emotion. Even the people that weren't race fans that were catching some of that were like, man, that dude's full of emotion, and as he should be. We just won one of the biggest races of his career at one of the most famous tracks in the whole world. No
doubt. Then coming up at 6:45, we'll talk to the Texas legend, Lawrence Miklicek. And Lawrence had reached out to me last week, and he's got some stuff going on there at L87 that he wanted to talk about. And the good thing about Lawrence, when he reaches out, it's like, don't talk about me. He's like, I want to talk about the stuff that I'm doing at the track, and he's gonna jump on board and talk about that. Then Flying Ryan Luja coming up at 7:15, and then 6:35, Katie Hettinger, who goes out there and kicks some ass and makes some history at the World Series at New Smyrna Speedway. So really loaded program tonight.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on post-Daytona, as we said. But, really good show. The thing that surprised me the most is how many people really wanted to see the people that we got.
Well, yeah, the whole thing about it is, and I do want to talk about Daytona because I know a lot of people are going to say they don't care. But, I mean, when you really look at everything that happened yesterday, and no matter how that race ended up, people were going to be pissed off about the ending. It's like, I don't like all the yellow flags. I don't like with all of that coming out. If they race back to the yellow and the race ran for 3 laps under caution, people would be pissed off about that as well. But I think the way that race shook itself out, I mean, seriously, what, 52 lead changes? And that's at the start-finish line. I mean, if you want to say that NASCAR's not competitive and it's boring and all this, you apparently weren't watching the race that I saw yesterday.
Yeah, it definitely was way more competitive than what most people thought. A lot of people today, the thing they were complaining about was commercials. But everything I saw, there was only like 49 minutes of commercials, and 14 minutes of that was the side-by-side commercials where they would have the logo up and have the commercial taking up half the screen. So I didn't think there was an abnormally large number of commercials for the Daytona 500.
Well, dude, here's the other part of that. I mean, when people want to complain about commercials, it costs a lot of money to get this on network television, and it people are paying a lot of money to the TV net, to Fox in this case to have that there, and I mean, somebody has to fund this. I mean, Fox isn't doing this for fun. I mean, I'm sure they'd rather do something else, but I mean, somebody has to foot the bill for this, and this is where and I say this with the most respect for people. This is where the small-mindedness factors in once again. How are you going to pay for this? Advertisers pay for this. They pay a lot of money, and they want to have their exposure, and they want to be on in the prime time of the race. And I really think what I liked about with the commercials, you saw them in the first stage and the second stage. Primarily towards the end, it was less commercial, but I mean, it's business. It's business, and that's what this is. And I think that's where everything gets lost, to where people are like, well, we just want it to be like it used to be on Wide World of Sports. Well, no, it ain't like that no more. It hadn't been like that for a long time, way back before 2001. This is revenue driven, and that's what we see with the commercial stuff.
Well, I think part of the confusion is look at how Formula One does it. Formula One goes commercial free nonstop, but it's also half the amount of time of the of the race, and they've got sponsors whose logos pop up on ESPN and stuff like that. So it's not always a complete comparative thing. I mean, when you watch supercars race down in Australia, hell, it goes all day, 5 or 6 hours without a single commercial, from qualifying into the race, into pre-race, into introductions, into the race itself, into post-race. No commercials at all. They go nonstop. That's crazy when you think about the way that we have the business model we have in the States, where it's just, you get used to the commercials, and it's crazy when you don't see them.
Yeah, and see, this is where marketing works the best. Adam Davenport checks in. I'm not sure if he's on Facebook or YouTube, where he is, but he said the Bush commercials were the best, and that's really what they're trying to do with that is, just like the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, folks get in there and they talk about the commercials. Ben Affleck and all of that. I mean, it's all about that deal. But, this is a huge, huge stage that advertisers are paying a lot of money to get on. And, I mean, I think for the most part, and I got to tell you, Bobby, one of the things, I posted this yesterday, I was really impressed with the Fox pre-race thing. They've gotten away from a lot of the stupid shit that we were seeing the last couple of years. I mean, talking about the I like the way that they did the whole NASCAR history thing, popping in, making it more modern on how everything was born right there. I mean, that tails right off of the Clash, because there were probably people that watched the Clash and they're like, I wonder how NASCAR came to be, and they put this little what was that, about 7 or 8 minutes of how NASCAR came to be. They put that together, and boom, there you go. I mean, that is brilliant right there. I love that.
The only problem about seeing all the stuff about the Streamline Hotel is that's the one place I didn't go when I was in Daytona a couple of weeks ago. So it just gives me an excuse to go back so I can say I went to the Streamline Hotel. But I think what it also did is it kind of reminded me, remember when NBC took over for the Brickyard? For the Indianapolis 500, how they were able to kind of tie in the history of that stuff into the new, not so much the new generation of stuff that they had, but it was able to tie in the old with the new. And I think that NASCAR did a really good job, and Fox, as they should have, for the 75th anniversary of NASCAR and the 65th running of the Daytona 500.
Yeah. And that's, exactly that. I mean, with the 75 years and everything right there. And thank you, Adam. Montana. Checking in from Montana, from the cold parts of Montana. I bet it's a hell of a lot colder there than it is right here, as we're in the 60s and 70s once again here in Texas. So thank you, Adam, and share the hell out of this. We need all the help we can get right there. But I mean, to tie this whole thing together, because so much of what NASCAR has to do right now, it's even on this comes back to the short track part, and we can tie in the World Series to where everything that Flow Sports did this past weekend, or this past week, with the World Series. I mean, they're drawing people in from all around the country that are just diving in. They happen to stumble across this, and you have that. There has to be something that I had a neighbor that called me last night, Bobby, and he's like, "Man, all that shit you were posting about NASCAR, or whatever. I watched the last 50 laps of the race, and man, I'm hooked. When's the next one?" I'm like, dude, we do this for 35 more weeks. 35 more weeks we're going to do this, and you can watch it every damn weekend. And I think that's so important, just to do that stuff. I know that it's commercialized. I know that a lot of this stuff, when you want to talk about made for TV and all that, it is. But you know what? The NFL is made for TV. The damn NBA is really made for TV. Major League Baseball has, pitch clocks and all of that's in place again, or now. This is sports, and NASCAR is one of those just top-notch major league organizations that does what they have to do to get viewership.
I'm waiting for the ratings. I'm waiting for our buddy Adam Stern to produce the ratings. The only sports event it went head-to-head with was the NBA All-Star Game, which in theory it should crush, because NASCAR usually outdraws all the NBA games as a head-to-head anyway. So I'll be interested to see what the ratings were. No delays, none of that. It should be pretty decent numbers. We've always said that the races the 500s that follow the Super Bowl always have an uptick there in the ratings. So I'm not anticipating this year to be much different.
And I really thought that yesterday that was going to be the key for NASCAR is to not have the delays, because we've watched, probably 4 out of the last 5 years we've watched, and when you really watch those demographics and the numbers that we're privy to get to see, it's like boom, here we go, everything is on, and then there's the rain delay, and that's where everything kind of falls on its face, because a rain delay in NASCAR is 2 hours. I mean, to dry that place off. But it really seemed like if everything was going to fall into place and you get to run the race and you get to run the full Monty of the 530 miles, for crying out loud, and that's the other thing where folks are bitching about this, and this is where I can go back to. Let's say that we didn't have overtime. Let's say that they would, like I was saying, let's say that we would have run the last 3 laps under caution. How would that have been? How would that have worked? I mean, it'd have been the outcry would have been even worse than what we're seeing now, because you got bonus racing. I mean, it's like extra innings. I mean, it's free racing. I mean, what's the big deal there? I mean, let them go. You know they're going to crash. And I think a lot of folks, when you sit there and you watch these races, it's like, okay, the next flag ends it. I'm like, man, I hope they don't take the white flag. I hope they don't take the white flag. I want them to crash again. I want to do this longer.
Well, it's like it was a double-edged sword for NASCAR. It wasn't near as bad of a race as the Xfinity race was, coming to the overtime green, white, checkered finish, where the cars were side by side within inches apart from the nose. At least on most of the views that we saw, Stenhouse was way ahead, a car length ahead of Joey Logano almost every single frame. So it wasn't one of those that left it to question. I know that they were showing the picture of the 3-wide finish there with the Xfinity race there on Saturday night. And it was almost too close to call, dude. Like, I don't know how NASCAR decided on that. I think they did get it right, but they had to wait about 6-7 minutes before they were able to determine the winner, because they threw the caution late on that deal. It looked like the cup one got tossed pretty early for the caution after they took the white.
And they're going to take their time, and they're going to do it right, just like the NFL does. With all the replays and everything that happens right there. I mean, even at the end of the Xfinity race, I mean, you had to sit there and you had to analyze that thing and make sure that everything was. I mean, they want to make sure and get it right. I mean, this is it's always the Monday morning water cooler thing, to where folks are going to be talking about whatever the hell the case may be. I think they hit a home run. They really did with the whole weekend. I mean, I even with the ARCA race, the ARCA race was good. I mean, we saw all of that, and obviously we were really going to like the ARCA race here in just a couple of minutes. But it really comes down to this is major league sports, and I know a lot of people say, well, NASCAR's kind of outgrown itself. I'm sorry, that's. It's the real deal. I mean, it's the real deal. You can't sit there and junior varsity this thing.
Well, you can't. I mean, and that's the way that they got all the millions of dollars tied up into it. I mean, it was almost the perfect weekend for NASCAR, I thought. Nothing went crazy except for the weather there on Friday night, which kind of popped up out of nowhere.
That sucked.
All the weather reports I saw didn't show any kind of rain on Friday, and it wasn't even showing up on the radar when it was raining at Daytona. So, not the finish that NASCAR wanted for the truck race, but the Xfinity race I thought was it was tame there for a while, and then it got a little hectic and crazy. Especially when you got Jeffrey Earnhardt wanting to whoop Parker Klingerman's ass again. Do you see that deal where he's like, if he hopefully he gets out of the infield care center and I don't send him back in there when I beat his ass. I mean, it's kind of like, well, come on, dude, chill out. Just, it's a restrictor plate race, so it happens.
Yeah. No, not a bad thing right there. That definitely does not hurt. All right, so one of the most popular moments of the weekend, we got to go to it right now. Let's take a look at it.
Hard to talk about how important somebody like Jim Long is for Greg Van Alst as well.
I hope he can cover all 20 sponsors in one interview.
It's going to be hard. That's
going to So good.
See that vein popping out of his head?
No, guys like me are supposed to do that.
That's awesome.
Let's get it down to Jamie. Take it in, Jamie.
As Greg Van Alst climbed out of that car, he said, guys like me are not supposed to be able to do this. He collects the checkered flag. I'm not sure you can put it into words, but the emotion that you're feeling right now, how much heart went into this win?
Oh, it's everything I got. It's the only speedway car we got. There's no way I was going to bring it home without the steering wheel of the trophy, and that was it. This is for all the short track racers out there that don't think you can get to this level. I've worked my ass off to get here, and we did it!
There it is, right there. And I got to tell you, as a short track racer myself,
tears in my eyes. It doesn't get better than that.
It absolutely does not get better than that. Greg Van Alst winning the ARCA race, and what a popular win that was. We go to the Lone Star Speed Zone hotline for the first time tonight, and we bring him in, driving that hauler home. He finally made his way back. Greg, how you doing, sir?
Oh, I am wore out and still in disbelief.
Greg, sitting there watching that, and thank you for taking the time to be a part of our program tonight. But I mean, Bobby and I, we're local guys. I mean, this is all we've ever done. We just sit here and talk about short track racing. But seriously, you just did what all of us dream to do, and a lot of people think that it's impossible to do. You go out there, you hit the big stage, and you win that thing, dude. I mean, can you put it in words here a couple of days after what that means to you?
Man, I think it's finally starting to sink in, but it's mainly because I've had to do what short track racers do, right? We went out and celebrated Saturday night, and then we got on the road, and I had to drive the hauler, and my wife and boys came down, so I told my guys, like, you guys don't want to be in the hauler with my wife and kids, so you guys just plan on driving back without me, and I'll just take them. So it's just been, eyes on the road, and my wife was sitting next to me, and she was kind of showing me stuff and whatnot that was going on social media. But I'm really just now getting a chance to look at everything, and like I can't believe the messages, the tweets, the text messages. It's completely surreal.
I love it.
Greg, your winner's circle interview up there at Daytona has seen lots and lots of social media hits. There were people that I know that didn't hardly follow racing, and they're like, man, what was the deal with that video that you just posted? That guy was excited. And I'm like, well, hell yeah, he should be excited. He just won the biggest race of his career at one of the most famous tracks in the world. But you did it for the short track guys that never thought they could get that far. But do you feel yourself as a short track icon now, trying to do one for the little guys, or is it just next race up? We enjoyed what we did. Now it's on to the next race to try to win this ARCA championship.
Man, I don't know. So I don't have like a trophy case full of feature wins, right? So like, I mean, I've only won a handful of times, and that's why I'm so passionate about winning.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people they don't believe you should move on if you're not dominating or whatever. And my dream has always been to be at this level, and just had some things happen through the last few years with CB Fabricating helping us out, and it put us in a position to be able to race at this level. Did we ever really think we could win at this level? I mean, in reality, no. I mean, we have people around us with my crew chief, Jim Long, and my spotter, Brandon Lyons, which spots for William Byron. I mean, we've got people around us that are plenty capable of winning races, and, they believed in us. But I just kind of always look at myself as just a guy that races, never as a Daytona winner.
Man, and that's something that very few people can say, and that's really a cool thing. But I mean, talk about that, Greg. I mean, you did. I mean, you stepped away for a bit. I mean, you hadn't done this for a little bit, and then here you go. You jump back in, and it's just got to be so surreal to really absorb everything that's happening to you right now.
Yeah, I wish I was 15 years younger in the position I'm in, because I kind of have two racing careers. The first one we made it to ARCA, made 3 races, done some Hooters Pro Cup stuff, and then life happened. Got married, started having kids, started a fence company so I could go racing. I started over. I mean, I started back over in go-karts and then modifieds and late models and it's yeah, I kind of like the second career better. This is where it's got me.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
So, Greg, talk about your ARCA program, man. You mentioned that you weren't going to bring back you were going to bring back the steering wheel of the trophy because that was your only speedway car. How many cars do you have, and how many cars do you need to run a full ARCA season now?
So we do have 5 cars. So, we are definitely not the smallest team in the garage, but I am an owner driver. That's where CB Fabricating and Chris Barkdahl has came and helped us with, with acquiring cars and equipment and whatnot, over the last 3 years. But we have 1 super speedway car. And I mean, I kind of told my guys, it's kind of like the Babe Ruth moment where you walk up to the plate and you point, right? So
Yep.
For the last few weeks, we've just been in the barn talking about what if this and what if that, and I'm like, guys, if I'm in the top 3 or 4 when it comes down, like, we're making the highlight reel. Like, it's just gonna happen. It's either gonna be we're gonna tear up half the field or we're gonna go to get the checkered flag. Like, there's no reason to bring back this race car because we've rebuilt this thing. This was our 5th speedway race, and we've had to rebuild it 2 or 3 times because we keep getting wrecked.
Yeah.
So, my first year with it, I was really nervous and didn't want to make any news. Just wanted to play it safe because, man, if I wreck it, I'll never be able to be able to race Daytona again.
Right.
And we got wrecked at Talladega, and then I built the clip on a welding table inside CB Fabricating, and brought the clip back home. And I don't have a chassis jig or anything, and put a rear clip on this car before last year at Daytona. And we got wrecked running 3rd or 4th under yellow. And then we went to Talladega, and Daytona is my ultimate dream racetrack.
Yeah.
And we're running like 5th or something like that with just a few laps ago. That race was running over, and they were saying it was going to be the last, no matter what the next flag was it. No matter if it was yellow, checkers, whatever. And we're going through 1 and 2, and everybody starts stacking up, and I bailed because that's like, I don't want to lose this race car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I told my guys, like, I'm not bailing. Like, it's Daytona. Like, I will bring this thing back with it either completely destroyed or with a trophy. And that was kind of my mindset for the weekend.
Yeah. Greg, talk about, the mindset of racing at a super speedway, with Daytona or Talladega. That's one of those things. I mean, we can sit here as short track guys, we know what it takes right there with just all of that. But to race at one of those big ass racetracks with everything that's going on. I mean, a lot of times the spotter's the one driving the car, it seems like. It's just one of those things where you're waiting for the shit to hit the fan, really the only way to put it. I mean, how do you sit there and gauge that and just keep yourself calm, waiting for that opportunity when it presents itself on one of those racetracks?
So I think I'm very, very lucky to have somebody like Brandon Lyons as a spotter.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best in the business. He's obviously spotting for some of the best in the business. But the style of racing that you have to do at Daytona and Talladega, I think just fits me.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's relaxing and give away like how hard it really is.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a whole lot you can do from a driver's perspective. It's not like you can, change the line to make the car a little better here or a little better there. I mean, there's some of that, but not like you do on a short track where you're constantly searching, right?
Right.
So the biggest thing that I've learned is you have to almost make your moves. You have to start planning your moves a lap ahead.
Wow.
And I learned that at Talladega in my second race, because we just couldn't get anywhere. I just couldn't pass. I couldn't do anything. And they tell you to just never lift, and you get going in the draft, and you start cracking the throttle, and you'll crack the throttle on the backstretch, and then it affects you going across the tri-oval.
Right.
And once you learn where to get a run and how to make a run work, and that then you can start putting yourself into position to make passes, and coming to the last few laps of that race, I kind of had a plan and knew what I needed to do, and just hoped it would all my experience of the 5 races that we've ran, that all that experience would come into play in that last lap.
Absolutely.
So, Greg, obviously Daytona's huge, and it's a career maker, and it's all you guys want to do is everybody wants to win at Daytona. But there's a lot more races left for the ARCA series coming up in 2023. Are there any particular races other than maybe Talladega now that you're looking forward to that's circled on the calendar that maybe not have been circled on the calendar before the Daytona win?
Not necessarily any that wasn't circled before. We've been really good at Charlotte the last 2 years and had issues. In 22, we ended 5th and our track bar was loose, and we were running down 3rd and 4th. And then I was running, I think, 4th in 21 and had a battery quit. So Charlotte's the probably the race on my radar that I think we can run really well at. We found some things on our short track car over the winter that we think we're going to be better. So we're looking forward to going to Phoenix and seeing if that work there that we've been working on is going to pay off for us. But I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of excited to get to Talladega.
Yeah, I bet. I bet you are. I mean, lastly, Greg, it's got to be like you're talking about right there. You've got some cars in place, but to get out there, the ARCA series, I've watched this thing for longer than I care to talk about, but to see what it has become, to get out there and not be one of the Venturinis or one of the Cup funded teams and all of that, to get out there and win that race to you, man, it got to be special, man. It's got to be so special to know that you really did do this. Short Track Nation has really united around what you did on Saturday.
That is awesome. I do want to point out that, like, you mentioned the Venturinis, right? Man, they're great people.
Sure. Yep.
We've bought most of all of our gears for each track from the Venturinis. Billy, his wife, they both text me after the race. Bill came over and kissed me. I mean, how many guys have gotten a kiss from Bill Venturini that didn't drive for him, right? So, I mean, they're really good people. And, there's other teams that have got Cup affiliation and manufacturer support, and man, that's why I really like the ARCA series, because what you see on TV is it's all competition, but man, back in the garage, it's really just like a big family that goes racing with each other every weekend. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. That's why we do it every week, every chance that we get. Super excited, Greg. Thank you so much for getting us into your schedule here, man. Super proud of what you did, and super proud to call you a short track guy. And I know all the Texans are all excited for what you did right there, dude. You give us all hope, my brother. You give us all a lot of hope with what you just pulled off.
All righty. Thank you. And if anybody's out there listening, just don't give up on your dream. Just keep plugging.
Oh, love it. Love it. Beautiful, my man. Good luck the rest of the year. We'll talk soon, brother.
All righty. Thank you.
You bet. Take care. There he goes. I'll tell you, how about that right there? Everything that he's talking about. I mean, that's, for all the negative stuff, and especially when it comes to ARCA, so many people frown on the ARCA thing. For him to go out there and do that, I thought that was so damn cool. I thought that was so damn cool for that dude to go out there and win that ARCA race.
Well, it really was. It was a great story. It was probably the best story of Speed Weeks. I mean, I think that rivaled even, the small JTT Geordie team getting the win in the Daytona 500, because it's one of the local guys, right? One of the local heroes that you talk about, the short trackers that made it big. His interview was fantastic. And I think the ARCA race itself was fairly underrated. I mean, there wasn't a lot of extracurricular crashes, like there normally is. I mean, you've seen that race get taken over by crashers. I mean, there's been times before that you don't want to miss the ARCA race not because it was going to be outstandingly amazing, but it was going to be crash filled, and you knew some of the crashes were going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
So I think that the ARCA race this year was a really good race. Almost took a little too long. A lot of DVRs didn't catch the end of it because it ran just a little bit over into that basketball window. But I mean, I thought the race itself was really good, and I look forward to big things from the ARCA series. The biggest problem ARCA has right now is their TV package just isn't all that great.
Yeah,
I mean, they got the big races are on FS1 and or FS2, depending on which one you're talking about being a big race. They got some of the races on MAV TV, but they just don't have a consistent place to go in and watch. Kind of like at least with like the West Series and stuff. Those races are going to be on Flow, right? So that you can catch those. So I think that's the biggest problem with ARCA. You got to reach around and try to find it to know where to be.
And I was concerned that race, the way, I mean, because they were, I mean, they were like they always do. I mean, they were tearing stuff up early in that race. I was concerned that they may not get to the end of it, but they did a good job of getting all that done. And then seriously, I mean, for Greg, Van Alst to go out there and win that, and then the interview, and I mean that really is, and he just said it right here at the end of that interview that he just did with us. I mean, it really is that dream right there. I don't care if you're an aspiring super late model driver. If you want to get to the dirt late models or sport mod, whatever you want to do, he's telling you go chase that dream, because all you got to do is just keep going at it. And seriously, for that dude, I mean, seriously, look at that. Look at that. That's not Joey Logano. That's not Ryan Blaney. That's not any of those people. That's one of us. I mean, that's one of us right there that parked that son of a bitch in Victory Lane at Daytona. And dude, how much better does it get than that at the World Center of Racing?
It doesn't. That's the fun part about it. It doesn't get any better than that. Not one of the super teams, not one of the highly funded guys, not one of the rich kids that has it all made for him with a check with one of the bigger teams. It was great. It was a great story. It was a short track story gone real good on the biggest stage of them all at the biggest race of them all.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, friends, don't forget we are into week number 1. Speaking of some of the NASCAR stuff, you can join our Revved Up Nation Fantasy Racing League right there at NASCAR.com. Just check that thing out right there. I can solidly say I think I'm in last place after last night, but we'd love to have you be a part of that. Go check that thing out and play with us, because we're going to be talking about this throughout the season, not only here on Russ, also on Revved Up ATX on our radio show. We'll talk about that, but that's just a fun thing to get out there and talk some shit, and it's a good another reason to pay attention to NASCAR.
It really does. It changes your view. Obviously, I didn't get to do all that well either. I was doing okay there for a while, but the key to making fantasy points is those bonus picks. Mm-hmm. You get 40 points on those bonus picks if you get them right. They're 10 points a piece, and there's 4 of them. So that's the ones that really matter the most when you try to do that. But I don't know. All in all, I thought the fantasy racing was really intense between the 26 people, or was it 25 people?
A lot of people
that signed up for it to play. So still join us. You can't win at Daytona no more. But if you got a good enough team, you can make up overall points and be in the point standings for the playoffs.
And that's right. You can always dive back in there. Doesn't matter if you miss that first week. You can totally dive back in there as I try to dial up Lawrence Miklicek. But yeah, it's a fun thing. It's a fun thing to be a part of that, and I think that it's a cool thing. I mean, I know a lot of folks kind of frown on the NASCAR thing, but it kind of gives you a reason to, just like fantasy football. I mean, I watch football differently now. Being a part of fantasy football. So, I think it's fun. I think it's a good time.
I think it works, man. I mean, I think it creates, I use some of the people that I didn't intend on normally using. A lot of times I actually put thought into it, and it didn't really change my luck at all. Normally I just go, to give the secret out, I go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, just to get the drivers, maybe 12 to put in the garage, or 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I actually went and did a little bit of research today, put Bubba Wallace in there, put Michael McDowell in there, put Jimmy Johnson in there, and lo and behold, I had Stenhouse in my garage, moved him into my team, so I got good points for Stenhouse being in there. but I didn't get a lot of points from everybody else being in there. So hopefully I didn't really mess up the uses I have on some of my drivers, because you can only use 10 of them. You only get 10 uses per driver between the first 26 races of the year. So it's a long season, but it's a fun season, and that's what makes it so fun with the NASCAR Fantasy League.
Yeah. Well, that's where it gets hard. I mean, that's where it gets really hard when you only have, a certain amount of uses that you can do with those drivers, and that is fun, because it gets to be a pretty strategic, once on the big tracks. But once you get to the short tracks and the intermediates and all of that, I mean, it kind of it streamlines a little better, at that point, because you have an idea who to use. But I just think that it kind of keeps it fresh. Kind of a new idea. Just kind of makes you want to watch a race and maybe half-ass pay attention. And you can see the live results, everything right there as it's going on. You can see exactly how you're doing. So totally free to play. Jump on there. Probably going to be some prizes at the end of this thing. So yeah, do that. I think you'll have a good time.
And the best part about it, though, if you sign up and you actually use like an old school web browser, like on a computer, there is a chat feature there on the right-hand side. So we tried that. For some reason, they don't have it integrated into the NASCAR app, or it doesn't work on a mobile browser, but it does work on an old school laptop web browser. So there's a little bit of area in there for you to talk a little smack if you win one week out of the other. So it's a fun time. Glad we got some players, and look forward to a few more people joining on for the rest of the season.
Yep, going to be a good time. Bobby, I do want to talk about, because later in the show we're going to talk to Flying Ryan Luja and then Katie Hedinger. With the World Series, everything that we saw at New Smyrna. I have to think. Obviously, Dirt does a really good job. I mean, these folks, they race, all throughout the week. I mean, it's like every day you got something going on right there. But to see everything that we saw, at New Smyrna, and to see the pro late models out there, I got to tell you that final super late model race, I thought was really good. Yeah, when you get Sawalich and Bubba and Casey Roderick out there, I mean, that's some of the best in the business. To see them out there racing, maybe not every night, but to see that pack. To see those guys out there, guys and ladies, for all the folks that think that asphalt racing is dead, that right there, to watch a World Series, to me gives it a shot in the arm, man. We are not going down without a fight. I mean, Rusty and everybody there at New Smyrna, those guys kick some major ass. And the whole thing is to me, they pull this off in Florida, where the weather's not the best. I know the Richie Evans race got rained out, and a couple of those got washed out. But it to see all of that, I mean, to me, to watch a 35-lap super late model feature race, that right there is badass.
Well, I think it's such a unique format where you have some longer races. You had the Hart Memorial 100, which William Byron won, but there was a lot of good competition there. Obviously, a lot of the heavy hitters had issues, like Sawalich and Bubba, and then Nasty had some issues with that race. But
sure,
they the format, you got 35 lappers, 50 lappers, 100 lappers. It changes your way of thinking for the different races. So it becomes a challenge for the teams, and it seems like most everybody's into it now. Whether or not they change tires, we'll have to ask Katie about it. If they change tires after the couple of 30-lapper races, if they still use the same set or not, but I'm sure Ryan will be able to tell us too. So that's the unique component of it is just it's a full week of racing. I think everybody races at least, well, your major classes race 5-6 nights out of the 9 nights. So
yeah.
Some of your local stuff doesn't, but I mean your pros and your supers, I think, race 6 out of 9 nights.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things that I like to watch throughout the World Series is we have our modifieds here, but to see those big old modifieds on those big tires, to see them get out there and race on that big old half mile. That right there, and then as it all winds down, I mean, then you got the bombers and you got real street stocks and all of that. To me, that that really kind of personifies to me what asphalt short track racing should be. We can sit and talk about the heartbreaking parts of not having it here in Texas or whatever the case may be, but to see all of those classes and a good amount of people. It looks like the grandstands look pretty good as well. I mean, that's I don't know, man. You and I were kind of texting back and forth about some of the stuff, various business stuff, and we're just kind of in the wrong part of the country, it seems like, and that sucks because I don't know. Every time that I see the World Series, I'm like, damn it, man. I wish we had that here.
Well, there's nowhere to have it. I mean, Houston is good. Speaking of Houston, we didn't get to talk to Jan Mandelbach about it a couple of weeks ago when he was on the show. But at one point, those tour type modifieds was going to be the modified class in Houston there when they were running hot and heavy there in the early 2000s. Now you talk about a game changer, bringing in those tour type modifieds here to Texas. That would have been crazy. I don't know if they should survive now, but that would have been a hell of a class.
Yeah, it would have changed. It would have changed the whole landscape of it. Anyway, what could have been? What could have been? All right, Lone Star Speed Zone Hotline. Let's go and talk to this dude. I talked to him during the week or last week, and by the way, happy belated birthday to the great Texas legend, my man Lawrence Miklicek. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good. Getting older.
Oh, hell. Lawrence, I tell you what, man, you can drive the wheels off and you kick all the new guys' asses. That nothing ever changes. So Lawrence, what all you got going on over there, man? L87 for you. I mean, I think that started off as, just kind of something for fun. But, dude, there is always stuff going on over there. That is a full-blown operation you have going on.
Well, that's still all we do is try to have fun out there. That's what it's all about. We got motorcycle races going on. Well, we ran the flat track, extreme flat track series there last Saturday and Sunday, and then we're running their end of the year bash the next Saturday and Sunday. So we had a good time this weekend.
Oh, love it.
Lawrence, how do you get hooked up with the flat track people? You call them, they call you, they find out about it through social media posts about everybody having fun over at L87. How does a deal like that get started? Because that's a unique deal at your little bitty homegrown racetrack.
Well, a couple of years ago, actually, it's probably been 4 years ago, I got a call they got my phone number and found out I had a racetrack in the backyard, and they were supposed to run in Waco, and they had some problems with the track like 2 weeks, and that's where they have their end of the year deal. Well, something happened up there with the city and the Waco track, and they couldn't run, and he called me just in the middle out of the blue and asked if he could run them at my track, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a full-blown racetrack and stuff. We just play out there, and anyway, he was desperate, and he came out there, and it ended up working out real well. The guys that ride the bikes, they really like that high bank, high speed track. And then they came back next year, and then they went to the race barn with Owen last year and ran there, and then they back out here again this year.
Yeah.
But Lord, that's how. I mean, it was. I don't even remember how they got my phone number. How they even got in contact with me. But probably one of the guys that races. I know a bunch of motorcycle people, and I messed around with motorcycles a bunch when I was younger. I still like getting on them and riding them. I'm tempted to get something and go race with them. Actually, Marcus and Parker, Nathan, and little Gilbert Perez they made their debut on the flat track series this weekend, and they had a ball.
Well, Lawrence, your number is easy to remember, especially the last 4 digits. But so talk. Let's talk about the motorcycle thing, because that's something up here in the Austin area. That's a huge deal. I mean, for us. I mean, we got motocross. We got random tracks and all of this. There are so many people that are involved, whether it be, just for fun or whatever. The motorcycle thing, whether it's motocross, flat track, whatever it is, man, that's a big damn deal around the state of Texas.
Yeah, actually a bunch of the guys that come down here and race are from the Austin area.
I believe it.
And I mean, they come from Wyoming, and I mean, they come from all over the country, but a lot of a big majority of them come from the North San Antonio, Austin area. You get a bunch of these guys like me that like motorcycles and stuff, and you get on these flat tracks. In my opinion, flat tracks are a mental game. Motocross is a physical. physical deal. And the mental deal, like these car racers, they jump on them motorcycles, and that mental finding lines and hitting your marks and all there, it comes to them naturally and quick. A couple of the guys, well, Marcus and little Gilbert, and Cody Leonard, there's a bunch of these young guys that have motorcycles, and they come out here and ride on the weekends. And then I get this flat track deal coming, and they all decided to give it a try. I kind of laughed. Marcus and Gilbert lined up to start this flat track race, and then they realized they've never taken off from a dead stop like a motocross, you know. And both of them they both stalled their motors and were the last two off the line. But they went and practiced starts later on that day and come back Sunday, and they were getting it, boy.
Nice.
So, Lawrence, let's switch gears for a minute. Obviously, you're here with the motorcycle. Let's talk about Nathan. I got to call a couple of his wins and some good runs there for him at Texana over the course of the last season. It looked like he was trying to get into some bigger mods type races. What's the deal with the grandson over there? It looks like the apple doesn't far too fall from the tree on that deal.
No, Nathan's gonna make a good little driver. He's young and learning, and he went and raced at Abilene Friday and Saturday. I don't think there's like 27, 30 cars. I don't know how many exactly there were, but he ran 7th Friday night and 5th Saturday night. And you know, we were pretty impressed with him. He stayed out of trouble and got, you know, a full weekend of experience at a new track. And he's like we were when we were younger. He eat and sleep that race car stuff, you know.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, he does. So Lawrence, I mean, I do want to talk more about the flat track, but so what are you doing? Are you going to do some racing this year, or what's in store for 87?
Yeah. I actually I got an old modified. I rebuilt, and I want to play around with some of the IMCA type of modifieds this year. In fact, I'm leaving to go to Mississippi to go messing around up there next week, and then we're coming back. Our plane's supposed to land at 11 o'clock Saturday, and I'm going to try to have my car loaded up and get over to Texana and run it. That'll be my first race in it. I took it to I-37 the other night, and I've been playing with the car. It's a car I built, and I'm not going to tell you how long ago, but I built it a long time ago, and it's nothing like what they're running now. It's either they're going to laugh at me or they're going to get mad at me. But it's going to be an interesting deal.
Well, you know, one time I remember you were racing hobby stocks or the pure stocks, and I called it a beginner's racetrack, and Owen was right next to me. He says, yeah, beginner, look at Lawrence right there. He's going to lap everybody. And you almost did, but with the affordableness, I've learned some of the different keys of how to announce the different classes with Owen over the years. But it's not only are you an experienced gentleman and a veteran racer, you give back more than most people even want. You won't take credit for most of it, but you give back to the community, the racing community, more than a lot of people that I know.
Oh, dang it. I think we lost him.
Right when I was giving him a compliment, too.
Oh, my goodness. I think we lost him there for a second. So maybe that was something on his end. So hopefully he will check back in right there. But you know what's funny, what he's talking about right there, that he's going to show up with something? Yeah, it's probably going to be old, but I bet that he's still going to be better than most of them. I think we got him back. Lawrence, we got you, man.
Yeah, sorry, but I don't know what happened.
That's all right.
It went dead. Getting back to the L87 deal, my whole deal, like the whole purpose for L87 is when I grew up, you know, we rode motorcycles and go-karts, and we'd go make a track in a field somewhere.
Yeah.
Or there was a place called Suntine Refinery. There was about 5 miles of trails to ride and stuff. And then if we all met up on a weekend in a lot somewhere, we'd make a track and race with each other. Well, kids nowadays don't have that opportunity. You know, nobody will let them on their property. they're afraid of getting sued.
Yeah.
And we kind of rag on kids nowadays about not doing anything but wanting to play on the computers and their phone. But, you know, I feel like our society has put them in that situation.
Yep.
They're just the opportunities that we had when we were kids are not there anymore. And that's what L87 is all about. I'm trying to give, you know, mainly the kids and young people memories for later on in life. That's what I get out of the L87 deal.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So talk about the weekend coming up. I mean, you've got another weekend of that with the flat tracks. I mean, kids can come out. You guys fire up at 1 o'clock, and it's just a good time. Tell folks how to be a part of this, how to come out and have just some damn good fun, just like you're talking about, like what we're used to doing when we were kiddos.
Right. Yeah. We got they got the Flat Tracks Association kind of runs the pits and stuff. I have a spectator side of the deal. It's $10 to get in to come watch.
Nice.
They usually last. Oh, they're usually over with. They start at 1 and they're usually over with about 3. They run a real quick, efficient show. It's, you know, pretty laid back. Sunday they're having their finale race, their points awards and stuff, and then David Shell at Shell Machine is putting on a big shrimp boil for everybody. So
nice.
It's looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a good time right there at L87 Speedway. I mean, check it out. I mean, we've got the graphic popped up right there, and we'll continue to push that out. Go out there and support the kids. Let them have a good time, and let's do something fun. And Lawrence, I can't wait to see you at Texana.
Yeah,
that's going to be fun.
To it. I may turn around and head home real quick, but I'm going to try to make it there. No, I took an old car that it's an old leaf spring car that I rebuilt, and it's a, you know, everybody that you talk to, everybody's on 4 bars and they just don't think it's going to work. But the hard-headed guy that I am, I'm going to try to make it work.
Lawrence, I'm a leaf spring guy myself, dude. I cannot wait to see this.
I ran them, you know. I kind of actually was running leaf springs, and I was traveling around winning a lot of races. And I went up to the Devil's Bowl and ran real good one night. And for some reason, I decided I was going to build race cars one winter, and I built 5 cars that winter. And at the beginning of the next season, the car that I built for myself, a guy bought it from me, and I started out the next year broker than I ever was, and had to borrow a car to start the season. But the car I borrowed, I got it rolling pretty good, and I was to the Devil's Bowl, and I didn't win the race. I dominated the deal, and I think there was like 130 cars there.
I love it.
But with about 3 laps to go, a rotor cap broke, and I just rolled off in the infield. But Smiley's and them had a chassis sitting over there that I thought, man, I need to get these guys to build some cars and let me sell them for them. Well, I got home, but I didn't have a phone number, and I called Tom Lorenz at Smiley's and was asking him about that car. And he said, why don't you just get in one of my cars? And so I did, and that was a Z-Link car. So that's I didn't get out of the leaf spring deals because I wasn't winning. It just another opportunity came up, and I've always wanted to go back and try it again.
Yeah. Can't wait to see it, my man. I know that you're going to do well, and we'll continue to push out for the weekend coming up there at L87. Thank you for doing that. I mean, that is so important, you know, to keep getting those kids involved, and I love the motorcycle part. I mean, that's we can tie this all together. I mean, it's all one big family.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, a couple of years ago when we ran one, and then we had like an invitational factory stock race in the middle of the deal. You know, the motorcycle crowd is a different crowd.
Yeah, it is.
I need to get it out. Motorcycle riders and stuff need to come out and support this deal to try to give some of these new guys opportunity. It cost me, you know, a little bit of money to get everything ready and do this deal. And I do it because I like the motorcycles. it actually costs me money to do this deal, but
Yeah.
if I could get a few people to come out there, it would make it better. It keep the deal alive, I guess.
Yep, that's right. We will push it, my friend. We'll do all that we can to help you, Lawrence. Thanks for jumping on here, and look forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank y'all. I appreciate all y'all do for me and for racing. Sorry I was late. We got this. I didn't ever hear the phone ring, and we got our service out here sometimes. It's a mess. So
thank
y'all.
You're a busy man. Yeah.
Y'all come out when you get a chance.
You bet, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Rodney. Thank you.
You bet. There he goes, Lawrence Miklachek. Isn't that cool, Bobby, that this show has gotten to the point where we can just call Lawrence Miklachek, get him on the show.
Yeah, right. We would have thought that years ago, right?
Yeah, it's like, he wants to jump on, and I love what he's doing right there, because I think that motorcycle thing really is important. The motocross, motocross is very passionate for me. I think the flat track thing would be badass. Man, I wish I could get over there. I've got something to do this weekend, but man, I would love to see that.
It's a unique thing. I don't know. I don't think Race on Texas is over there this year. They were there last year, I think, or the last time they did it over there. And it was such a different. It was still competitive, it's still racing, but it was so different that it made it neat to watch. So I think that's one of the things, little niche market in there, if you will, for the motorcycle racers over his typical racing bunch. But still, rising tide raises all boats. We talk about it all the time. If the short track's successful and they have a good program, then that affects everybody in a good, positive manner.
Yep. One team, one fight. Stick around. Coming up, talking to a Texas dude that did a hell of a job at the World Series. Flying Ryan Luja coming up. # Real Race Talk from Texas. It is the Revved Up Sports Show.
Have you heard about the latest and greatest technology being built around the DFW area? Generation Race Cars and JL Racing, located in Springtown, Texas, are now offering top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art Southern Sport mods and limited modifieds. Generation Race Cars and JL Racing can provide new cars, turnkey, complete bodies, shock revalving, and chassis updates, along with providing trackside setup guidance and a whole lot more. If you're looking at competing at a whole new level, call 817-528-2947 and ask for Justin today. You can contact them through the JL Racing Facebook page to learn more about Generation Race Cars. You put a ton of effort into your race program. Now take it to victory lane with GRC.
Hey everybody, Rodney Rodriguez for CRS Suspension. Are you ready to take your racing program into victory lane? Well, if you are, then it's time to call CRS Suspension, the industry leader in handling technology. CRS now solely owned by winning iStock and late model racer Jeffrey Abbey, whose knowledge can do big things for your oval track success. Give CRS Suspension and Fabrication a call today at 325-330-0647 and learn how you can get the shocks and technical guidance that will put you into the winner's circle. You either have CRS shocks under your car or you get outrun by those who do. Choose to win and call CRS Suspension today and follow them on Facebook at CRS Suspension Fabrication.
Yeah, talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't.
Wow, dude, where'd you find that?
I don't mess around, dude.
Wow, that's impressive on a Monday night.
Trying to be like the Bush Clash, dude.
I guess so.
Trying to find the cool stuff. I don't think.
So we're indeed back. A Revved Up Sports Show here on a Monday night. Good conversation there with Greg Van Oss, the Daytona ARCA winner, and our buddy Lawrence Miklinchek from L87 Speedway. Still got a couple of good guests lined up for the rest of the evening. Good job by the booking agent this afternoon, booking the show. So lots of good racing action, or lots of good racing discussions still to be had on this Monday night.
Yeah, the fun stuff never stops, and we go back to the Lone Star Speed Zone hotline once again, talking to our Texas folks, and this dude right here dazzled him at the World Series of Stock Car Racing at New Smyrna Speedway. No stranger to our program. Always a pleasure to bring on the man himself, Mr. Flying Ryan. Oh, no, I got to say it right. Flying Ryan Luja. Ryan, how we doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Ryan, I mean, the week in a nutshell, dude. What a performance that you put on.
Oh yeah, it's let me tell you, I hadn't done 2 weeks before. I'm really glad I got to do it, but man, what a tiring week. But yeah, really fun. But I mean, it's rough. Let me tell you. You know what I mean? We're out there every night till at least midnight. You know, and we're up back of the track at gets open at 10, so we're leaving at 8. So really fortunate we didn't have a ton of work to do. Car was pretty good, and we didn't really tear it up. So not too labor intensive, but still a crazy week, but really glad I got to do it.
No doubt.
So Ryan, the question that I have is that when you're a younger kid, and you're still a younger guy, right? Everybody's dream is to spend a solid week at a racetrack, and you get to race every night, and it's kick-ass, and it's fun, and all that. But it's a whole lot of work, doesn't it? It's amazing how much work goes into the span of about 9 days there at the World Series getting these race cars together, and it's tiring even if you don't tear up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't really realize it until I got back. I had a concert to get to last night. It was about a 4-hour drive, and like, oh my gosh, like I'm so sore right now. I was just trying to get comfortable. But yeah, very tough week physically. Which I mean, the reasons aren't too long, but the 100 lapper was definitely tiring. But I mean, we kind of just killed them in that one. So really cool. Thanks to everyone at Jet, for the opportunity. But yeah, tons of fun. Who would have thought that I'd do my first speed race at 26? But we tried to make the most of it.
Out, Ryan, and talk about that, because that's one of the things that I was listening there on Flow. They're talking about everything, and they're talking about all your experience, blah blah blah, and I'm like, I called this dude to his first win in 2013 in a pro late model, but when they talk about all that experience, it ain't all that much.
It kind of aggravates me,
right?
It aggravates me
right? I mean, I mean, let's set the record straight, dude. This is kind of new to you, and you got out there, and man, you throttled them this week.
Yeah, I was telling everyone this week, there's like just the people I was hanging out with. I'm like, look, these kids, or these younger people that I'm racing with, like they probably race more than a year than like I have starts. You know what I mean? It's like I don't get to race that much. And I was telling everyone that like, so we ran 6 races because one got rained out, and it's like I ran 3 races in 2022. Like no one, No one really like takes a second to like look at that and like realize that. So I always try to like at least say it every now and then, so people will come to realize. But yeah, I mean, it was my 3rd time at New Smyrna only. But yeah, really fun place. But yeah, so I always try to like get that across to people, but they just see like, oh, I'm 26, I've been around for a while, running late models, but it's like I really haven't had to do that much, you know what I mean?
No doubt.
So Ryan, question for you: the way that the World Series is set up, where you get to run those 35 lappers and you get a couple of longer races, then of course you've got the 100 lapper and all that. Is the 35 lapper still fun for you? I mean, obviously, you're winning a couple of them, so that's a lot of fun. But I mean, is you get so used to racing the longer races that it just seems like the 35 lappers are just over in the blink of an eye?
Yeah, I don't really like the 35 lappers. The main problem, I think, for me was the invert, because we were so close in qualifying all week. That like you're just waiting on the invert to see where you get. Where you get inverted to, and the invert is 3 through 8. So if you qualify on the pole, you have no chance of even being on the front row. And the race is only 35 laps. It's like really hard to pass there, especially in a pro car, because you can't keep your momentum up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, personally, I hated 35 lappers, but we still got it done. but yeah, I don't know. I think something needs to change there, in my opinion. Or they should give like qualifying points, something along those lines, just to like actually give an incentive for qualifying on the pole, because it does nothing but hurt you.
Yeah.
And then everyone's racing so aggressively on those 35 lappers just because you don't have time. You know what I mean? Your race is decided in like the first 5 laps, and it really is. What was it? Friday night, the night before the 100 lapper. I started 4th, got door checked a couple times, fell to 5th. I think we had, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure we had the best car, and I got up to 2nd, but you know what I mean? They're gone. It's like, what can you do? So really prefer the 100 lapper. Wish we had. I was telling someone like we should at least do 50 lappers there, in my opinion. Like it's only 15 extra laps, which maybe it would actually make the races go faster because everybody wouldn't be so crazy in the first couple laps. You know, like just precautions were very numerous.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of back it down a little bit. So Ryan, what does this week do for you? I mean, you're one of the guys. I mean, obviously one of our favorites, no doubt. But I mean, for you, with padding your resume and a very great resume that you already have, to get out there and jump in this jet car and do what you just did, man, it's always we were just talking to Greg Van Alst, one of a short track guy doing really cool things at Daytona. What does this week at the World Series do for you when it comes to chasing that dream that, man, you so much deserve?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, because we all know the racing world is all about finding the funding. So hopefully it helps with that a little bit, and getting some partners and sponsors and stuff like that. But I've been saying, like, really and honestly, the most important thing for me is to just get to the racetrack. It's just getting there and being able to show what I can do, and interact with people, make connections. I talked with a ton of new people just last week alone. So like I've realized that really is the most important thing, is just getting back to the track. So it's not really so much as what did last week do for me. It's just getting there and putting myself in that position over and over and over. So hopefully I can do a lot more racing this year. That's the goal. And, we'll see what happens. All I can do is, try to get to the racetrack and do my best. And, just see what happens from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ryan, are you doing any more iRacing stuff? Are you still doing the Coca-Cola iRacing stuff, or what's your schedule like on that side of the world on the iRacing stuff?
So, funny enough, when I got the call from Pat, I'm like, I got to check the schedule, because I have an iRacing race. Our first race is Tuesday. I was looking at the schedule, and the only day that we didn't race the pros was Tuesday. So I was like, all right, that'll work. And then I ended up going to someone's house and testing out the rig Tuesday, like a couple hours before the race. I'm like, all right, this isn't going to work. Like, I can't do this. So then I had someone else suddenly message me, and I drove to their house on Daytona Beach and kind of tested items a little bit better, but the computer was still like struggling to run it. I ended up like 2 laps down. It was a mess. But we got our laps back with the green white checkers and got 27th. So I'll take the points, you know what I mean, because it's better than not racing at all. But yeah, so our schedule just kicked off. Hopefully we can have another good year, and you know what I mean, this year we missed out on the playoffs last year, but hopefully we can make the playoffs and go for that $100,000. That would help in some way in the racing world.
Yeah, no doubt. So
it's
what?
A tiny little dent though.
Yeah, no doubt. Anything else in the works? I mean, you're one of the best shoes in the country. I mean, whether it's a pro, whatever it is. Anything else that you may have in the works that you can talk about? Whether it be super late models, whatever. Anything there that we can look forward to seeing you as we dive into 2023.
We're really trying to do the super schedule at Five Flags.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the ASA stuff, so it'd be really cool to run that ASA race. I'm sure it would be really, really big. But really it's just trying to work it out and find a way to make it work. But I know Pat wants to do stuff, so hopefully we can make it work. I think we will. I'm really confident that I'll win more races this year than I did last year, but we'll see. But Pat knows anytime I get a call from him and he asks me about a flight, he knows how to be there. So it was last minute as it may be. Like the last minute, it was Monday, I believe he called me. And I had something going on with my toenail. I had to go get my toenail removed Tuesday, and then I flew out Thursday. So I had like this bandage. I had to like bandage my toe every day, and I was like only putting on my shoes for practice. And as soon as I finished running my practice off, I got to pull my shoe off because I was in so much pain. But you know what I mean? I'll do whatever it takes to get to the track, and you know, Pat knows that, and I think a lot of the people are realizing that. So hopefully some more opportunities are opening up. The other end, we'll see. You know, that's all I can do.
No, no doubt. Ryan, I do want to ask you, I mean, I was talking about this earlier on the show. I mean, obviously, you know, with your Texas roots, I mean, you know, the state of Texas, the short asphalt racing, but, you know, and dirt is great. I mean, there's dirt everywhere around here. They run multi-day shows, but for you to be at the World Series, I mean, all those days, 9 days of racing, and obviously you don't race every day, but I mean, to be a part of that and to see that, I mean, that's got to be pretty cool as a Texan to see that life really does exist.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't think I would ever do it because Speed Week is such like it's an expensive deal. You know what I mean? It's so many races. Like the odds of getting stuff torn up is really, really high. So it's something that, you know what I mean, we never even planned to do whenever, you know, we were racing. So really cool to be able to do it. You know, it was just, like I said, it was just like on a last minute whim. So really, really thankful to get to do that and, you know, perform really well. We'd have had a good chance at the championship if it weren't for that flat on night one.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know how the math worked out, but I can't imagine that me and Connor would be very far apart. So I think we would have had him if not for the flat, but, you know, I mean, that's just the way stuff goes. If someone has, like, a clean week, they're just going to get the championship.
Yeah.
But, yeah, really, really cool to be able to show up like that. You know what I mean? Like I said, last minute, you know what I mean? Just showed up, and, you know, there we were. So really, really cool and thankful to be able to do that. So thanks to Pat, everyone at Jet Motorsports, Daryl at AMS Roofing. He was a big, big part of it. So thanks to him, Nouveau Elevator, and just all the family, all the fans, everyone for the support.
And so most importantly, did you make the concert? I was kind of good. That's
it was such a long day. I was thinking about it, and it's like, so we won the race, and my flight out is at 6 a.m. Okay, so I'm like, we go out, of course, because we won the race, and they all, you know, we want to celebrate.
Yeah.
I get dragged at the club, you know, I get fed some drinks, or not the club, the bar. I get fed drinks, and it's like, all I'm thinking about is like, how am I going to get to the airport? Because no one's going to drive me. And I'm like, all right, so I have to like switch my mind on this road. Just like the number one thing is getting to the airport. So I got my Uber scheduled. I didn't sleep. I think I slept maybe 45 minutes. Got to the airport at like 4:45. Flew out. So I just moved to Tulsa. I landed in Tulsa at 10:30. went back to the apartment. Drove 4.5 hours to Dallas. Got checked in, went to the concert, came back, drove back yesterday. So really, really long day, but
of course,
still very, very worth it.
Nice. Well done. That's always my thing, traveling. It's like I look down at my watch and I'm like, I'm flying out at what time? But I don't have a driver. I got to drive myself. So, but man, cool stuff. Glad that all worked out. Great week over there, my man. As always, thank you for doing this program with us, and man, looking forward to the rest of the year. I think there's big stuff on the horizon for you, brother.
We'll see. I really hope so. So the Alabama 200, I think, is coming up.
Yeah,
March 4th.
That's right,
I believe. So
right.
Maybe a chance at that. I know Pat was talking about it, so we'll see. But like with everything for me recently, it's like just last minute stuff, so it's hard to like plan it out. So I'm just kind of waiting in limbo, you know what I mean, so to speak. So we'll see if that happens. And then the next week is Pensacola. So we'll see what happens, but I'm doing everything I can to try to make it happen.
I think it's one of those things, Ryan, you just have your bag packed by the door. You're just ready to go.
Oh, I do. Absolutely, my helmet bag is right next to my door. Just that way, like, just in case, like, I know I won't forget it, but just in case, it's staying right next to the door. So
I love it, dude.
I know exactly where it is.
I love it. I love it. Well done, my man. Congratulations on a great World Series there at New Smyrna, and we'll talk soon, man. Anytime you need some airtime, holler at us, buddy. We got you covered.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Roddy. Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate it.
You bet, man. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
You bet. There he is, flying around Lucia. He really is. I mean, driver for hire. I mean, that dude, he's like, it's like, I look up, I mean, I know even with Snowball, I looked up and it's like, whoa, wait, he's driving what? Where'd that come from? So, I mean, the dude's good. I mean, he's really good. That's a really good thing for him.
It's hard to take care of your equipment there at the New Smyrna, but like you said, obviously, the racing gods have decisions outside of our control, and that flat really, but even though he had that flat, that was a hell of a save on the flat.
Oh
when
man,
the tire blew going into turn one. That was a hell of a save that he had in that race. But I mean, telling you that says something when you don't tear up a lot of your equipment in these 35 lappers. Like he said, we didn't even think about the invert, but he was so fast. We'll ask Katie about it too, being so fast for some of those pro late model stuff coming up that it almost is detrimental to not sandbag so you can start further up front.
Yeah, and that really is the thing, with that. I know at Mobile, we really pride ourselves there on the pro late model, 30 lap main event or whatever. That's great for a local show, but when you get to these big races like that, it's like you need more laps. I mean, because it's just kind of the racer mindset to get in there, because it especially at a big track like New Smyrna. If they drop the rag and you fall behind, it's hard to catch up. I don't give a rip if it's 20 laps or 35 or 50. It's hard to catch up if you don't have the cautions. But I like what he's talking about there, with 50 lap features and all that. But at the same time, you're packaging a lot into what they're trying to do there, and it's just a good show. It's just a really good show that you get to see there with Speed Weeks.
It really is good. And the number of laps per class, it actually works out really well, because you got 35 laps for the super late models, 35 laps for the pro late models, and you got a 25 lapper for your local cars, the little mod minis, whatever they were, that ran the last night of the World Series. So it's and I like the fact that they mix in a couple of the bigger races in there, the 100 lappers, the 75 lappers, and stuff like that. But definitely those I think it's the tour type mods, the super late models, and then everybody else is how they view that show down there.
Yeah.
Rusty's really good at what he does, but it just seems like a lot of the pub goes with the tour mods, and then a lot of the pub goes with the super late models, especially after having the Hart Memorial be the kickoff for the Southern Super Series. That was 34 cars, super late models, on a Tuesday night in Florida. That was pretty damn impressive on Valentine's night.
Man, it really was. To see that and see the caliber of driver that you had, in that race, and then even with the final super late model race that you had, the final race right there with Sawalich winning that, and Bubba and Roderick and all those guys, to see those guys come back to run, to come back to run, and that's a whole thing. Obviously, they want to run the ASA Southern Super Series race, but to get them back and get them to run a local, because that's really what it is. It's a local late model show, and that's to see that, I think that's pretty cool. They do a really good job right there, and to see those cars on that half mile, and they get out and they get after it, and the weather's one thing, but I think this year they did a really good job. They got lucky with weather that it only impacted them a couple of nights. I know the Richie Evans, got kind of messed up there, which sucked. because that's one that I was really looking forward to. But I think the debut of the ASA, Southern Super Series, man, what a show! Damn, you can't go wrong with that one.
The formula's there. Like, that's what's going to make it so many super late models trying to race at Pensacola coming up here in a couple of weeks, because the fact is it's triple points, right? It's Southern Super Series points, it's Blizzard Series points, and it's ASA National Series points there at Pensacola. That's going to make for one hell of a show, because there's going to be, I'm going to guess there's probably going to be 40 super late models.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. That's going to be one of those. And think about that. Let's talk about March before Katie jumps on. Let's talk about March, because like he was talking about, you got the Alabama 200. That's going to be the first weekend in March. You'll have that happening right there. You've got that. Then you got the Rattler. Then you got Pensacola. Then you got a week in between there with nothing happening. Then you got our race at Mobile, and you got an ASA super late model race with that. I mean, March is going to be the one. March is when you get to super late models and just support classes. That's when you really start kicking ass, man. That is March is going to be unbelievable when we get rolling into that.
It's gonna put the spotlight on the super late models in a good positive way. I think it's gonna elevate the perception of a super late model, because we don't have the ASA series we had before, which was kind of a toss between a local short track hero and a touring series guy, right? We don't have that anymore. It's more along not the ASA cars of the 90s, but this is more like the throwback to the ASA cars of the early 80s and late 70s, where it was your local guys that could come out and tour and make a name for themselves touring across the Midwest. Now it's the same thing where you have the guys that are able to come through and make a name for themselves. Many have already made a name for themselves at their local touring level.
Yeah.
You know, with the CRA touring, you've got even the SRL guys that are coming across the national stuff. We saw Jeremy Doss going to make the trek coming to the Rattler. And you got the established Southern Super Series guys, which is, to me, the Southern Super Series has been the poster child of this resurgence of super late model racing here in the last 5 or 6 years. So it's a new deal, and I think that's what it's going to be. The biggest thing is they just got to watch out not schedule on top of each other. They already done that once on April the 1st, but hopefully there's not too many more times that they schedule on top of each other. There's enough cars to go around.
Yeah, tell me about it.
The biggest thing is is that when these guys start tearing up shit come the first part of March, it's how many of them have enough money to get the other cars back together to start racing in April and May.
Bobby, don't be cussing. We've got a young lady on the hotline here that we need to talk to.
You didn't tell me she was here.
She is jumping out, but I know what you're talking about. But just to piggyback off of that, what I do like is that you do see. I mean, some of the guys that may have been Southern Super Series, they're going to the Rattler. They're doing SRL. I mean, there's plenty of that to make itself work out, and I think it's going to be fine. But the dates are tough. I mean, that is very tough. But that's something that's going to have to work itself out. I mean, that's competition. That's NFL, USFL, XFL, NBA, all that stuff. But okay, Lone Star Speed Zone hotline. Final time tonight. Going back to the World Series, and this is a young lady that Bobby's probably offended by saying bad words. But here we go, talking about history made there, but not so much about history. This young lady is just a great race car driver. Here we go. Let's talk to Katie Hettinger. How are we doing, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing well. We're doing well. How are you back in Michigan? You were way up there.
So actually, I moved to North Carolina a few months ago, so we just drove back to North Carolina.
Well done. You are in the hotbed spot of stock car racing. So talk about your week. I mean, not only being the first to punch that ticket there at the World Series, but just everything that you accomplished there at New Smyrna.
Yeah, I'd say my first few weeks was successful. It definitely was an up and down week. We had a DNF, a 12th place finish, 8th place, but we were able to get a 2nd place finish, a 3rd place finish, and then obviously my win. So it definitely was a good week. It was a lot of fun. A little stressful, but still a lot of fun. It was a good learning experience for me and a good opportunity for me to get close with my team and get to know the car and everything.
No doubt.
So, Katie, this isn't your first experience running late models and different stuff. Tell us about how you got here. Tell us your story before you got to the World Series this past week.
So I started racing when I was 5 years old. My grandpa and my dad both raced. And I started out in quarter midgets, and then when I was 10, I switched to micros. So I ran dirt for 2 years, and then I ran the CRA Junior Late Model Series for 2 years, won the championship my second year in that. And then a couple years ago, I decided to come down here, and we started racing for Matt Piercy Racing. So I ran late model stocks, and then I did a little bit of pro racing last year. And then this year I'm going to run full pro season.
Yeah. Katie, I'd love to ask you about those late model stocks. That's one thing, with the Cars Tour and everything. I mean, that really seems to be the class. that's really growing and just kind of blossoming. Your thoughts on those cars? They're fun to race, and man, lots of cars in the pits and lots of fans in the stands at those races.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun running late model stock. I won 4 late model stock races last year at Hickory, which made me the winningest female at Hickory Motor Speedway. And then at the end of the year, we decided to run some bigger Cars Tour late model stock races, which those have a really good field, a lot of good drivers. So we struggled a bit in that, but it was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun running those Cars Tour races. And I'm hoping to maybe run a few late model stock races this year, but we'll see how it all plans out.
No doubt.
Well, Katie, before we get to your success at the World Series, talk about racing at Hickory, man. When you look at that place, it's a little old. Some parts look a little run down, but it's just like going to Indianapolis. Once you get to that place, there is something special about that back gate when you come in there. Talk about your racing experience there at Hickory.
Oh yeah, I love Hickory. It's a really fun track. It's a little rough, but it's a lot of fun. I ran for Matt Piercy Racing, so he won the championship there in 2015, so he knows that track really well. That was the first track I ran a limited late model in and then a late model stock at. So it's a lot of fun. The fans there are great. They get good crowds and everything, so I'll always love Hickory.
Katie, isn't the cool part about this, you have this breakout week, so to speak, at the World Series, and you win that race, and folks are talking about that. But to talk about the whole backstory, all the folks that have helped you and doing this for so long, I think a lot of mainstream people don't understand that this stuff doesn't just happen overnight. It's a lot of work and a lot of people involved that really make this happen for you guys.
Oh, yeah, for sure. My dad and his friend had been going to Speed Weeks for years, and I was never allowed to go because I wasn't allowed to skip school. So this was my first Speed Weeks down there, and I'm really glad we were able to do it with Anthony Campy Racing because they're an amazing team. They have really fast cars. Casey Rogers, my teammate, he helped so much. Anthony helped a lot, the whole crew. So I'm glad we were able to go down there, and for my first time down there, I was able to bring home a win with Anthony Campy Racing.
No doubt.
So that you kind of stole my thunder. Talk about your relationship with Casey. Obviously, he's the guy that's tried to be at the bigger leagues to the sport and found his home there in super late model racing at the regional and somewhat national level. How much do you get to interact with him over the course of a weekend?
Oh, we talk all the time. He helped me a bunch at the Red Eye. He helped me a bunch at Cordial, and he had a radio. Actually, my start there at Cordial, where I led the first half of the race, that was all thanks to him. He helped me with that start and everything. And it's easy to talk to him about the car because he obviously drove it at the Snowflake. And the whole week of Speed Weeks, after every night I ran, we'd go over things that I didn't do good at, things I did do good at. And he always had a radio. He always hyped me up, always told me I was doing a good job or what I didn't do a good job on. And he definitely is a huge asset to me, and I'm really glad that I'm able to work with him this year.
Yeah, good dude to be to kind of be affiliated with right there. So let's talk about those Campy cars. I mean, that's top notch right there. I mean, to get behind the wheel of one of those things. I mean, how cool is that to drive one of those? I mean, that's some of the best equipment. That's some of the best stuff you're going to find in short track racing. That's got to be a joy to drive one of those machines.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've wanted to drive for Campy for a long time, and so I'm so glad that I get the opportunity to this year. And it's just an overall great team. They know what they're doing there. The whole crew's amazing and everything. I've become good friends with all of them, and it's just overall a really good production over there.
No doubt.
All right, Katie, so the World Series is over. You got the spotlight. That's great. That's awesome. Got the wins. What else is set on the calendar? Do you have any of these other pro late model races circled saying we're going to go in at full speed and attack that race and try to come back with another trophy?
Yeah, for sure. My next race is March 11th at Southern National. We're running the full Cars Tour pro late model season this year. We're going to try and get the championship in that. So we have about 30 total races with Campy this year because we're also going to run the 5 Pensacola pro races and then also hit the Snowflake at the end of the year.
Oh, man, that's awesome. So, Katie, I do want to ask you, I mean, when you win that race at New Smyrna, and I'm going to put myself in your mind. I mean, just to win there, and I know afterwards it's Katie's the first, lady to win there, but the big thing is you win there. How big was that for you? I mean, walk me through that last lap that you came across there to take that checkered flag at that storied event.
Oh, it was huge for me. I needed a win so bad. We had bad luck the night before.
Yeah.
And just new season, new team. We were so close a few nights before, so I was like, we need this one. And that last lap, my spotter, Michael, he was talking me through it. He's like, all right, take it easy. I do pass the lap car. And so he's like, just give him easy lap. I went up in like the 5th groove, like making sure I'm way clear. And I just took it easy across the finish line. And that feeling was so awesome. My crew coming to me right after, me standing on the door, my celebration. So many people talked about my celebration after, so I thought that was cool because when I win, I get really pumped up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the best part of Speed Weeks that I saw when that happened. So Katie, tell us what do you obviously a young lady like yourself. I mean, race car driver. What do you do for fun besides this? I mean, we always like to talk to the young folks. It's like, what do you do for fun besides race? Most people say I work on the car, but what do you do for fun outside of that race car?
So usually every day I go to the Chevy Tech Center here in North Carolina, and I work out and I train. But back home before I moved to North Carolina, when I went to in-person high school, I was on the varsity volleyball and basketball team. So I love playing sports. I love doing that as much as I can. And then I also showed cattle before I moved. So big thing in my small town back home.
You need to come to Texas. That's a big deal around here.
I do.
You need to come see us. Come to Austin Rodeo. We can kind of take you around the chutes right there and let you take a look around. So lastly, I mean, talk about everybody that makes this happen. I know you talked about Campy and the family and just everybody and how they can follow you to channel you throughout the season.
Yeah, so obviously my mom and my dad and Anthony Campy Racing, they're the whole reason I'm able to do this. So huge thanks to them. And then also my sponsors, Team Chevy and Wheeler Trucking are my 2 big main sponsors. And then also Lauren Renier, he helps me a lot. And Frame Filters, Autolite Spark Plugs, Victory Custom Trailers, Mobile One, Bell Helmet, K1 Race Gear, PXP Racewear, Cirque Motorsports, Jags Performance, and Stagger Pros. And then I'm Katie Hettinger on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, website, all that.
I love it. Well done. Katie, congratulations on that big win there and your whole career. I mean, like we always talk about, when folks come on here, it's like, well, she got a big win at the World Series, but this is just something else on the resume because you are so darn good. Thanks for taking the time, and let's do it again soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Take care. There she goes, Katie Hettinger. Well spoken.
Yeah, she got that PR training.
She's done this a time or two. She has done this a time or two, and that really was a popular victory. And I will say, the victory lane, that was probably the best one that I saw all weekend. That was really good.
It was always good when you learn how to party younger, right? When you learn how to celebrate him the right way and be able to the picture that popped up when she was talking was showing just amazing how good how excited she was, right? The expression on her face with that checkered flag was worth 1,000 words of any interview. So to see that, to watch that live when coming in person during the Speed Weeks, that was a lot of fun. And it was a good deal. Those Campy cars, both the Pro and the Super, really good Speed Weeks, really good for both of them.
Yeah, and there with Katie, I think that's one of the things right there to where it's you feel the emotion. I mean, the excitement. I mean, I know a lot of the youngsters and talking to the young folks that we did today, tonight with Lucia and with Katie Hettinger. It's like, I mean, they get out there, they race, and they love what they're doing. I mean, They've done it. They do it the hard way. They're out there busting their ass trying to get sponsorship and getting into these rides and doing things. And I think that's the important thing to think about. And when I saw Katie celebrating, that to me was really cool because that was genuine. I mean, that was heartfelt. I am so freaking excited that I've pulled off something that. I mean, I never won at New Smyrna, and I never will. You won't either. I mean, that is something to where it's that's That's what it's all about. And for some of the folks that want to frown on asphalt racing and youngsters and doing all that, those are the kids. Those are the people that are going to take our sport forward and do it the right way.
But that's the best thing about doing it the right way, right? Sometimes it's still hard. Sometimes it's easier to get into certain rides and opportunity. But what is it? What is it? It's not luck. It's opportunity meeting responsibility or whatever that quote is.
Yeah, and that's where we look at both of those kids, and I'll call them kids. I'm old. When we look at those kids, they have worked their way into that. I mean, they have, the resume is right there. When you look at Katie Hedinger, I mean, go back and look at
preparation. See, they're good. They're on top of it, even helping us out, right?
Exactly, and that's the whole thing. This ain't no flash in the pan. I mean, this young lady has done so much, and the same thing with Luja. I mean, you go back. I remember, with Luja. I mean, I called his. I'm lucky enough that I called his first, pro late model win, and he beat some really good guys out there. But I knew what went into that, and that's where when you see these youngsters doing that, that's where you wish you could put that into the resume. That word preparation. You can put that in the resume, but folks don't get it. Folks don't get it. You got to get the whole story. And there are so many short track racers around the country, like we've talked about on the show so many times, Bobby. It's like some of the best short track racers in the country never get their chance. They never get to be Ricky Stenhouse, and they never get to be that. That was to me last night. That was one of the coolest things for me with Ricky Stenhouse winning that race. That's a freaking dirt dude.
Olive Branch, Mississippi. That's a dirt racer.
That's a dirt track racer that went out there. I mean, look at Christopher Bell. That was all dirt track people. And Kyle Larson. I mean, I know he is what he is, but those are all short track people that are in the right place, all in the right place, and that's where hard work pays off. And when you talk to folks like Katie and Ryan Luja, that's the future's bright. We can frown upon short track racing and where the vision of racing, but it's kids like that are we gonna be all right. We're gonna be just fine.
The next generation is coming, and a good majority of them are going to be good for the sport. So, not all of them, but a good majority of them will be really good, especially the kids that we talked to tonight. It makes me good to know the next generation is prepared and ready to go.
Say it right. Not most of them, but the ones like we talked about tonight are the ones that are keeping us in the right direction. Like we talked about, a busy March coming up when we start talking about not only with the pavement stuff, but dirt's firing off. I mean, it's time to go racing Texana in a couple of weeks off, aren't we? From the I love
actually announced the test session next weekend.
Nice.
There at Texana to prepare for the Clash in 2 weeks.
I like how he's done with the Clash, kind of tying that thing all back together. I mean, what a better way to start the year. I love when you start the year with a big show. With a big show like that. And I think that one's going to be massive.
It should be another 3-day show with practice and qualifying there on Thursday. And then you've got a preliminary night there on Friday and the big main events there on Saturday. So should be a lot of stuff. I talked to Owen today or messaged Owen today. He seems to be pretty excited about it. They got the practice set up and ready to go. So should be a good way to kick off what would be considered, I guess that's the first kickoff race for local dirt track racing, isn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, the big one. I mean, they've been doing the arena stuff and everything that Lawrence is doing. And once again, a big thanks there to Lawrence Miklicek checking in. They've got that huge extreme flat track racing event happening this weekend. It's a second weekend. Go be a part of that. I think that's going to be pretty cool to watch those motorcycles. And again, I love what he's doing there, tying in the motorcycles with with the racing, the car racing aspect right there. And I think like Lawrence talked about, and we see it here in Austin, Bobby, we talk about it all the time. It's like there's a lot of motorcycle dudes that back and forth. I mean, it's okay. It's okay to cross over. It's okay to like it all.
It really is. It's okay to be a fan of more than one type of racing genre. I mean, that's why you have motorsports fans, not just Cup Series fans and the nationwide fans or whatever the case may be. That's why it's good to be. You could be a racing fan and a motorsports fan and still be good.
Yeah.
You don't have to just like one and segregate from the others.
Super excited tonight. We got to talk to this dude right here, Greg Van Alst. I think we were probably the first ones, once again, Bobby. Innovators once again. The big winner there at Daytona, doing it short track style, doing it for the short track racers. Look at that dude right there. That is a short track racer, and he just lived out what a lot of us would like to do. He goes and he wins at the World Center of Racing, and he dedicates it to all of us. Isn't that the best part?
That was the best part. Best interview of the weekend. Best celebration there at Speed Weeks next to Katie's.
Mm-hmm. Hey, checking in right there, our man George Hagee, who was on this program last week, just got off of his bike. A little bit of a history right there with Hagee and the bikes as well. So really good stuff. Flying Ryan Luja dominating over there in the pro late models at New Smyrna Speedway, as he does really good stuff. And I think the sky's the limit right there. Somebody needs to latch onto that dude and Caden Honeycutt and put these Texans where they belong. And of course, there she is, Katie Hedinger. A big winner at the World Series, and again with Katie, the World Series, that's just another notch right there in her career. Folks are all like, "My goodness, how about this young star?" Well, she's been doing this for a minute, and she just told us about it.
Yeah, that deal of Hickory was pretty special for her too. So Hickory's not an easy place to win at. With the legacy and the history of that place, it's not an easy place to win because everybody wants to win at Hickory. So the fact she got a couple of wins last year, that's pretty big.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Speaking of big wins, you see our buddy Dylan Spreen over the weekend?
I saw that.
Picking up the big win there in Arizona.
How about that? Big win there for car number 81 as he takes that one home. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Maybe we'll have to get him on to have him talk about it.
Yeah.
Can we get more than one sentence out of him, you think?
We'll booze him up or something. We'll liquor him up or something.
That makes us old. If he's old enough to drink now, he's old enough to have kids too. That's crazy. That makes me feel real old.
Austin Wayne Self, remember that? I can drink now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember you drinking when you were 14. Anyway, different story. But anyway, good stuff. Good stuff. Great Revved Up Sports Show. Loaded. 4 guests. Man, we got something going here, my friend.
Yeah, and if it's your first time listening, don't forget to come back. We have fun every single Monday night.
Share the hell out of this thing. Tell people.
Yeah, don't forget check out our YouTube, like our Facebook page, subscribe, and enjoy the videos there on YouTube. 125 videos up there. So if it's your first visit tonight, you can catch up on all the previous shows there on our YouTube channel.
Keep checking in. You never know when you might get some bonus content and all kinds of fun stuff happening right there. Big thanks to our friends at Race on Texas also for simulcasting us there, RevvedUpSportsShow.tv. Bobby, have a great week, dude. It ain't cooling off. It's hot.
It's not going to cool off, but it's pretty good today for a vacation day.
Yeah.
It got a little breezy, but it wasn't too terribly bad.
Good stuff. Thanks to all the guests for checking in. This is #Real Race Talk from Texas. Don't forget, check in. Join that fantasy league. You may have missed the first race if you're not a part of it yet, but it's only 1 week. Only 1 week.
Only 1 week, right? You can still win the playoffs and still win overall.
That's right. He's Bobby. I'm Rodney. We're in Texas. We gone. #Real Race Talk. Revved Up Sports Show.